Yeah,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to our halftime. So for our halftime, I'm going to take this time to reiterate and thank our sponsors. We've got Jerry Howard of E4 Leadership. We've got Fast Signs. We've got the Mike King Biz, and we've got Hilton Downtown Radio. Downtown Richmond that has been so kind to host us every single week, and we are just so appreciative of that. So just to take a little break before we get started into our next and final topic, we're going to just tell the audience a couple fun facts about ourselves, just so they can get to know us a little bit. So my fun fact is that I collect rocks.
Oh,
I do. I collect rocks. All my friends, when they travel, I just ask them to bring me back a rock, and I Sharpie where it's from and the date, and I have like a nice little box of like all my rocks from kind of like around the world.
like a pet rock thing?
No.
Okay.
I don't know what Carrie's face is giving me. I don't know.
She's
I'm collecting. And my
Carrie's face is giving me.
It's from Antarctica.
Ooh, that's kind of interesting,
Yes.
Star.
And then we were peaked. Really?
So my favorite,
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
I'll bring it next week. Okay.
Oh,
Okay.
Lord.
All right. What about you, Stephanie? What about you? What's your fun fact?
I play an instrument.
Okay. What
What'd you
instrument?
Cello.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes.
So I've done that for a very
She's
long
fancy.
time.
very much.
My son's a cellist as well.
I love that.
Yeah,
Love that.
She's fancy.
No, I do love that. I do
Get a
love
couple
that.
more glasses of wine. She ain't that fancy.
What about you, Carrie? What about you?
Well, since we're on women talking sports, I am in training for the Boston Marathon. And
Yes.
Congratulations.
9 weeks.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's coming up.
So,
Love that.
April 18th.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Are you
Thursday.
feeling?
Are you feeling ready?
I was just gonna say, there's that
Training-
point where you know you're
training's
ready.
going Well, I had a really strong run this morning. The cold weather is very helpful, so hopefully it's cold on race day.
All right.
Okay.
Okay. That's nice. What about you, Lisa?
Well, mine's really lame, but
That's
don't
okay.
know
We
if
can
it's
be
our
together.
rock. I don't-
We
it's
can be
okay.
together.
It starts
I
talking
mean-
about rock.
okay. So I'm from Maryland and I'm a really good blue crab picker.
Oh.
Oh.
Oh, you know
I
what?
told you.
I'm so afraid of them. I would be okay with that. When they start skittering, I'm like, oh no.
Oh,
go
no,
ahead.
you do it when you're, you do it when
but like when
you're
you
dead.
gotta put them in the pot. Oh, I just feel bad.
Oh.
I don't feel bad because they're delicious.
Yes,
But
they are,
anyway,
they
that's my fun but lame fact.
Okay.
That's not lame. That's nice. I just didn't know what a blue crab picker was.
Hard shell crab.
Look at
I write poetry.
Okay.
Oh.
All right, I like that, Dr.
Okay.
Danny.
I really
Take
feel like I
Dr.
need to
Danny out for a
broaden my
slam poetry night.
horizons. So I had two fun facts. One's historic.
Okay.
So there is a tiara in my past.
Oh.
Oh.
So I'm a former, maybe always a princess, Miss Fluvanna. So I didn't win the bigger title, but I
Mike.
did win. Mike's laughing at me.
Yeah, off
Miss-
camera.
Yeah, Miss Congeniality.
Oh,
that did serve
look where you
the
are now.
That matches.
That
you know,
matches. That matches.
I have a question. How many people at this table can think back to a report card or a time in grade school where it was said too social or talks too much in class?
Mine, honey, mine.
Mine. I had
So,
I had
mine
to
was
write so
talk
many
too much.
sentences. It was ridiculous.
So here was the mean
always
girl
raised mine.
thing of my high school. Danielle will never win because she won't be able to talk in public. But look what I did.
Look
for
at
a
what you do
living.
for a living.
You
Look,
should
I know.
know.
I remember who she is.
You know
Look at
those-
me now,
you know
girl.
those athletes?
Make
Put
it a
her-
princess
Put her
now.
on blast. No.
I know who you are.
But more importantly, she knows who you are.
Exactly.
So let's do it.
Google me. Google me. Just Google me.
Y'all are not ready.
You can find her on LinkedIn.
You're right.
Carrie.
We laugh too much again.
Oh, okay, okay.
Princess for Little League football. I ain't mad at you, Carrie.
Okay,
I'm mad at
Carrie.
you. We might
Very
have a tiara
emphatically, I
day.
was.
We can have a tiara day.
No, I was a homecoming princess.
Well, you know
Look
what?
at that.
You know what? Let me just, you
See?
guys are the only
Lane.
queens on the panel. Just let me talk about me real quick. My senior year of high school, I was homecoming queen and prom queen. That's it.
You know what? You know what?
Oh, well, the question is, did you
Excuse
have the
me.
same dude for both of them?
No, I brought
Gotta
that
trade
dude
'em
with
out.
me to prom.
Okay.
Okay, but I was standing on my own for homecoming.
Hey.
and proud of it, babe.
I love it.
Period. He was
I
a
love
great guy,
those fun
though.
facts.
Well,
He's a
I
great
went
guy.
to
He's a great
prom
guy.
with that guy over there.
Oh, all together.
I felt like a
So
queen.
maybe I'm thinking women speaking sports. Maybe we'll host a Richmond prom.
Nope, you know what?
Mike, put that down.
Yeah. Noted,
Uh,
noted, Mr. King,
No,
noted.
homecoming gets actually sports related.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
yes.
It has to be homecoming.
Oh,
We
Okay.
can wear sneakers
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my
with the
God.
gowns.
That's what the girls do, but I'm not for it.
Y'all knew Carrie wasn't going for that.
Well,
That we
ladies
have
and
to worry about your
gentlemen,
feet hurting.
Ladies and
Sneaks are for
gentlemen, I
running.
hope you enjoyed our halftime show. We're gonna move on to our next topic. So this is something that we're gonna hit the nail on the head, honey. We are coming in strong and we are coming in fierce. We are going to be talking about the tweet from Miss Sha'Carri Richard and the double standard Richardson, yes, and the double standard that's happened in the Olympics. Lisa, I know you're very passionate about this, so I'm just going to hand it to you and you start us off.
So I messaged Star, was it yesterday?
Yeah,
I
yesterday.
said, I'm just so angry. And I went on a tirade, a texting tirade. And I said, okay, I'm leaving
I'm
now.
mad Italian woman. I'm mad.
I'm mad Italian woman. Don't mess with us.
with red hair.
With red hair. And well, the red really isn't.
Oh, well, they don't need. They don't need to know. It looks good. It looks good. It looks good. They don't need to know.
So it's really upsetting to me that and I'll say this again, if you're old enough, and talking about the Russian skater who was allowed to skate because she's 15, but she was tested positive for a banned substance. And the reason why she was allowed to skate is because she's 15 and the lateness of the results coming in.
That's ridiculous.
And my thing is, if you're old enough to compete at that level, which is very high level, against everyone else who has the same rules, then you should be held to those standards.
Hold on, but it's Russia. So let's think about it, right? So Russia got banned from the Olympics.
Exactly.
They
Right,
created
right.
an Olympic
Right.
commit for this
The
reason.
ROC.
For this reason, they created a special committee, Russian Olympic Committee,
Yeah.
so that they could get approved to compete in the Olympics. So are we
And do the
really?
exact same thing.
Are we
I'm
really
surprised.
surprised?
Because I'm older than everybody here and I remember. I remember.
Because I said,
You know when you look good and you're like, and I'm old. How about that?
And I'm old.
Do
and
it,
I'm old.
Lisa.
I'm old.
Do it, Lisa.
But we knew that there was doping. That people in the United States knew that there was doping for decades.
Summer
and we
and
were-
winter Olympics.
Yes, and we were always amateur athletes competing against professional athletes in that country,
Yes.
which was another X.
Yeah.
So this happens, and you've got all of these competitors who are clean competitors. But she's going to win the gold medal.
Yes.
Oh, she's not going to get a ceremony. She's still going to get a
And then
gold
those
medal.
other people
she's
won't
gonna
get
get the
ceremonies either.
$37,000 to go along with that medal.
Yes. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you know what I also thought about? So Sha'Carri brought it up, and there are some differences, right?
Like
and
the
then there,
two
and there-
regulatory groups.
right,
Yeah.
two different regulatory groups. We already know that although marijuana is legal in many places in America, there's still a stigma attached to it. Most of our athletes are expected to remain clean of all drugs. So one thing I would say to Sha'Carri is hold yourself to a certain standard, as someone who is performing, who is out there in the public. And if you really have a mission and that's getting in the way of your mission, don't pick it up.
Right, and
But that's the one
she
thing.
owned
However,
she owned her mistake.
absolutely, I was just going to say that. However, she did own her mistake. The way that they did it without any true consideration of the exigent circumstances is really what bothers me in regard to Sha'Carri. She's young as well. She was going through a hard time. She lost a parent. There were a lot of things that I felt the American Olympic Committee the USOC could have considered, and they didn't. My problem with Valieva is, and I'm going to shout out, even though I know they're not listening, shout out to the commentators last night, to Johnny Weir and Tara Lipinski for keeping it a buck.
Right.
Because a lot of times you're watching sports, they were saying what we all were thinking. It's hard to celebrate somebody that has a chemical edge, or you assume has a chemical edge based on it. And it's really hard to watch it in earnest and root for that person, 15 or not. because you're going to get the same reward if you win, but you're allowed to pad the win. And so then that 22-year-old woman who this may be her last Olympics, we just have to say, well, she's older, she would know better. It's a lot to justify. I feel like if there is that rule or unwritten rule for youth in sports, then either don't have them in there until you feel they're ready to be mature enough to hold on to all of the standards,
Or in her case,
hold them accountable.
she said she didn't know she had it in her system.
Well, then
She's
suspend her
50
coaches in her.
She's 15. Could we thank a Russian coach, a parent? Did they know?
They said
They
that
know.
that particular coach has that attached
Yes,
to
but there's
her.
also a parent of another Russian skater, I believe, that's related to this, that might be the one who provided it. So they're trying to keep.
Well, didn't she say she got
Oh,
it mixed
I
up
didn't know
with
that.
her grandmother's medication?
Yeah, her grandfather's
Grandfather's.
and that she had 2 other drugs in her system that
Correct.
aren't illegal yet.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's like this is intentional. I know we don't want to be, hard on kids, but we also have to teach people the necessary lessons.
Yeah.
If she's in the Olympics 4 years from now, do we just, how do we trust her? How do we trust her?
I just have to say something. Y'all know me. I'm going to pick the other side just to keep it going. The reality is there's a rule, and they took advantage of the rule. We can say that it's wrong, but the rule didn't just get there for them about athletes under the age of 16 not having the same standard. And so it's not right. We can talk about it, but that's the rule.
Right, and the
No,
rule only comes into
I-
question when it doesn't benefit or when it does benefit a party.
Yeah,
right?
but also one of the things that was said the other day, and I don't disagree with you, Dr. Danny, it is a rule. And but I would say I challenge it and say it's a flawed rule. But
It's
she
like
was
overtime in football. It's like
Absolutely.
overtime rules in
But-
football. I didn't like it.
One of-
I like it.
one of the things that I think is interesting about that, it is a rule, but one of the things that I think is really interesting is one, they're not talking about getting rid of the rule as deeply as they should. But 2, and more importantly, when I think about, yes, it's a rule, but we know that there is a history of it. And the fact of the matter is, each individual governing committee still has a right to make a decision outside of that rule. And that's kind of what impacted Sha'Carri Richardson. There was an opportunity in that 20 some odd day period of time where the USOC, or I guess it's USIOC, I don't know, but the United States Olympic Committee could go back and say, okay, she did that. However, now we've retested her. She's good to go. We're going to let her go. And they chose to not give her that option.
They didn't go to bat for.
They,
No, not at
right.
all.
So I think,
But should they have lowered their standard because of what makes her the exception?
I don't say
well,
she's the
well,
exception.
let me jump
I'm
in
just
on that.
pointing
The
out that
exception
there's
is
always
She
room.
was not taking a performance enhancing
That's
drug.
true. That's
The
true.
fact is,
It should have made
run
her
faster
slow.
with weed.
She
That's right.
almost
It should have made her run slow.
She almost validated marijuana usage.
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly.
you were beating people, the marijuana use? You were running people
Okay,
down.
in fact, she
So much for
lost
the
her
couch
next
boundaries.
race, her first race after suspension.
No
Nothing
marijuana in her system.
She got beat.
Yeah.
Right.
I will say the one thing that did have an impact when I was watching skating last night is we've been talking about mental health. We've been talking about the impact, particularly of mental health and women in sports.
Mhm.
When we all watched Michael Phelps, there's always still this room for him as a male athlete to say what he will and will not do. When you watch those gymnasts, they were bullied into a lot of different situations. They were a lot younger than a Michael Phelps was. And so when you start getting into that whole situation, you start looking at it, and this young girl, the coach affiliated with her is known for churning and burning athletes. this young girl has the potential to just disappear over the next 2 years.
Again,
And
you just
this will
going for
be the
wins,
legacy.
not the dynasty, just the wins.
Just the
right
win.
now wins.
The immediate win. Good point, Doctor. Danielle, I'm giving everybody the PhD. Sorry,
No,
Doc.
she's the
Sorry, Doc.
princess, not the doctor.
Princess. But yeah,
The
but it was
princess.
hard to see a
Smart
young
and
kid
pretty.
crying. It was hard to see a young girl crying and feeling the way that, I mean, imagine the world's eyes are on you. They've been talking about you. You should not even turn on the TV at some point. But then there's that other element where it's like, there are people that are going to go home without a medal, and you basically stole their opportunity.
That's what bothers me.
Well, and you know what? Culture-wise, does she go home as a disappointment to her family,
Why would she? That's how they
Not
behave.
just to her family.
but to the whole community?
A win
From
is
the
a
mi-
win. A win is a win, apparently, over there.
Yeah,
You know, and then on the same token, you had an American athlete competing in ice skating for China, and when she fell, they were like, yeah, she's America's worst, we don't want her, they brought her over here. Like, they were really attacking her, and she's of Chinese heritage. Her parents migrated here, raised her here, but she wanted to compete for her family's country. And the Chinese population on their social media, they ate her up. So again, you have these mental health components of these whole conversations.
But
And
how interesting that the Chinese media would allow that on social media and all the other things
that they clear out.
install,
Yeah,
on social
good point.
media.
I know we've
Good
been
point.
talking a lot about the internal stuff, and I want to read Shikari's tweet. She said, "Can we get a solid answer on the difference between our situations? The only difference I see is I'm a Black young lady. It's all in the skin." So we've been just talking.
are there any Black Russians?
There are
asking.
some.
Are there?
Watch them on TikTok. They make
I can
TikTok
order
live.
one. I can order.
I watch them on TikTok.
just
I'm so
asking.
fascinated.
I'm just asking. I
Look,
don't
I'll
know.
send you a link to the Black Russians on TikTok.
I don't know. I'm asking. Curious, inquiring minds
I
want to
think it
know.
has to do with the age. I'll be honest with you. You
Yeah.
can say what you want to. You know,
She's 15.
maybe something
Shikari.
had to do with
These are Shikari's tweets.
right, but maybe it had something to do with the race as whether or not her advocacy was low from the United States. But I don't think the rule
The
is the rule,
comparison,
and
yeah.
the age difference is what I think made the difference.
I agree with you. I don't think that, if it were Shakari Richardson and Natasha Jones, and they were both Americans, both being looked at for the same thing, there was a race disparity there, then I might have that feeling. But in this case, I do think it was more about what you said, the age and the rule.
Yeah.
And, I understand, though, that human element of what she's digging. She's trying to figure it out. But this is also where sometimes you got to give people the hard truth, right? And we all have had children who are in athletics. And, it's important. Well, not you too, I'm sorry. Most of us have had children that have been in athletics, and you give them truth. And then on the same token, you've had staff members. You give them the truth that they need. You have friends, you give them the truth they need. Shakari didn't have someone telling her the truth. And the truth is, if you think that's an issue, you should know that going in and know that you have to perform at a different level. You have to hold yourself to a different standard. A lot
And
about
let's be real.
winning.
She didn't go smoke that joint by herself.
You didn't.
And where was her tribe going?
Exactly.
You at this level.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
What my thing
What-
is, why
remember when we
risk
were
your
talking about
potential success?
Patrick Mahomes. Remember when we were
Girlfriend,
talking about
yeah.
Patrick Mahomes' girlfriend and the distraction that she created,
Yeah,
and it
yeah.
caused it for him? When you have a situation like that, and we talk about redemption, she had an opportunity to rise above, come back, and redeem herself. In her next performance, she didn't, and maybe it's because of the pressure that was on her.
Yes.
But
And the Jamaican athletes were not taking their boot off
you
her
can't-
neck.
No, you
Their
cannot.
cleat off her neck.
You can't talk the talk and not then also perform.
I
At the
a
end of the day,
1,000% agree with
you
you.
got to perform, and it's like running's hard. It is not easy. There are so many factors that can
Hard on
make
the body and
difference.
everything.
So I get it, but I just also like go out there and just let your performance do the talking instead of still harboring on something that happened over the summer that you just can't.
You can't go back and change it.
Yeah,
That's a
and
good
I
point.
think you gotta, I don't want to lose sight of the mental well-being side of it. Or someone who knows what grief is like. And I know, when you lose a parent or whatever, And she may have chosen to do that because if she had taken the other meds that could have been a prescribed medication, that would have been a banned substance.
Good point. Good point. And there's also the all the stigma associated with taking those meds and being known as, someone who has mental health issues. You make an excellent point. And to your point, Carrie, I think Shakari's best bet is to build a campaign of likability. I am, on my radio show, in my business, when I'm talking to my clients.
Look, she
I
needs a marketing
always
person.
talk about
Why don't y'all hit
likability.
her up? She needs to.
Likability, Lisa,
got a list.
likability is key, right?
Everybody loves a redemption story.
And if she would focus on, a person who is well liked gets a lot of grace, even when they are misbehaving, right?
It goes back to OBJ.
It goes back to OBJ.
Because everybody's human, we
Absolutely.
make mistakes, and then we can relate to those people when they do come back.
Yes, yes.
And mind you, I was cheering for her when she came back. I really wanted to see her come out and do well.
Yeah, I wanted her to win
Yeah.
that race and
Yeah.
emphatically show them that you are that girl. Live up to your word.
Right.
You
Yeah,
know,
so
we
she
do
kind
have
of
a
doubled
comeback
down.
story.
She did kind of double down on her, where she was when she came
she was
back.
angry.
She was mad,
Yeah.
not thinking about.
But you should see me
That,
run
but
when I'm mad.
but we're all we all
I'm a
have
lot
to be
faster.
honest. There is an element of youth there too. Shakari was 20 years old, and any of us who have children who are over the age of 16, between 17 and 24, you're seeing a whole lot of things
Because
happen.
the adult brain doesn't fully form until
22.
exactly.
Yeah.
But then
Yeah.
the thing is too, she's growing up and she's being exposed to all this media right away. Like
Par for the course. It comes with it.
exactly. But
You
may
want to start
understand that
media
it comes
training.
with it, but
We're
there's
gonna talk.
it's also like you know what's happening, but you don't really know until it's happening to you. Does that make sense?
And you could be in the middle of
let's
it.
start. You know what? I know you're the QB, but explain that. You're in that age range.
Right.
When you look at Shakari and you look at the emotional imbalance that occurred, because a lot of that was in imbalanced moments.
Yeah.
You're in front of the camera. They come right after you've been racing. They put a camera in your
And
face.
you don't have time to process it. This generation is learning to take time to process their feelings. And so when somebody comes to you right away and you're not ready to talk about it, you don't know what's going to come
You
out
get
of
it
your mouth.
raw.
Here's
Yeah.
another
You
Get it
question.
raw.
completely raw.
Here's another question too.
point.
In professional sports, you have a team of people that help you with that,
Exactly.
to help you acclimate to the spotlight.
Yes.
Where is does the United States Olympic Committee have a team of people that work with these young athletes?
I don't, years ago, there used to be a whole system of handlers. And then as things got
Where's
more
the Olivia
relaxed
Pope
and
with
people
the
became
US
more
Olympics?
celebrity oriented, they came with their own teams. And I think it was either Danielle or Dr. Danny that said it earlier, maybe even Carrie, people bring their friends and family along.
Right.
And sometimes you have to know the person that is helping you with your imaging and your PR, you need to be paying them and they need to be unattached to your emotional and personal
And
space.
let's not forget Michael Phelps. If you can recall, he went through a really bad, I would say, PR
Absolutely.
incident with marijuana,
Yep.
and then he came back.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
So are you saying that you feel like when it comes to like our PR and comms team that we should not have close family and friends on that team?
I have always felt that way.
Okay, so because you feel that way, and I can see why. I can see why. I think maybe now a lot of parents are looking at those success stories like Beyonce, like Serena and Venus. They're like, well, their parents did it. Like maybe I can.
So, but
there
I
was
think
controversy with their
controversy
parents.
with Venus
especially
and
with
Serena
Serena,
and-
yeah.
And Beyonce.
And but
Understood, but maybe people don't know the full story and just see.
But think about legacy businesses. Just think about this. This is a business, right?
Right.
These athletes, yes, they are athletes, but they are a business. And if you think about legacy traditional businesses, you can think about families that have built empires,
Yeah.
the DuPonts, the Rockefellers. You can just name
the
them.
Knowles.
Yeah,
Let's not forget Matthew Knowles. I'm
Look,
Matthew Knowles.
you can just name them. So, I mean, I know some local business owners that are entrepreneurs who have teams. Well, guess what? The team is the 16-year-old son who got a driver's license that she created a business for so he could go stick her real estate signs in the houses she got for sale in New York. You know, so that's the team. But I think there's a legal line that you have to set up the structure if we're going to create legacy businesses to have the family in place. It
But
can't just
I do
be
think when the legacy
family.
business is a branded personality, an individual, that changes things significantly. And I also think that you have to understand, you know, that person. When I was selling for a particular company, and I would reach out, and they'd be like, "Oh, well, no, my son does my social media." You could see that this person's son does the social media, right? Everyone's not prepared
But my
for
son
that.
is good.
Well,
St. Lamore.
I'm just saying, shout out to St. Lamore. Watch Hustlers Hot this week. He will be on it. Little plug. No, but I think that what it really comes down to is, and this might be sensitive, but there are a lot of athletes, we just talked about it, that come from positions that are marginalized. They are the first people in their families to go to college. They are the first people to experience the level of wealth or access to wealth. You don't bring cousin Joey,
You ain't have Junie on the side doing
who
social
didn't
media.
have experience.
LeBron brought him.
Yeah, but you know what? When you go
And
in,
they learned.
hold
They
on,
might have
no,
lost money, but
no.
they didn't steal his
Hold
money.
on. I will challenge you on that, because what LeBron was just called out on was for the lack of those people on his team. As a matter of fact, when the whole ESPN debacle was going on, that's what people started focusing on, is that his PR didn't look like him, is that his talking heads over at ESPN didn't look like him. The people who are making sure that money is untouched are people who have education and training. I'm not saying you can't put cousin JoJo on there.
But they need to be
as your runner,
qualified. But they
you
do
some
need to be
quali-
qualified.
Absolutely,
Can we
absolutely.
talk about my girl on the bobsled?
Yes,
Go ahead.
yes.
Wait, the mono bob or the bobsled? Which one?
The mono.
I
That was
love the
first
mono
time,
bob.
But I was so excited. She's a mom and a nursing mom.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The one,
Special
was she
needs
the one in
child.
quarantine?
That story was phenomenal.
I think her name's Elena Mayer Taylor.
Yes, yeah. And
She
how
won
about
gold and silver.
well, she won, and I love that she raced against her former Canadian competitor who now competes for the US. And they went gold and silver. Another stellar example of sportsmanship. They were hugging one another. They were so
I
excited.
feel like there's more family connection this Olympics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why I feel that
They're
way. Or
pointing
maybe
it
we're
out.
just, they're exposing us to it
Yeah.
where it hasn't traditionally been exposed and shown to us. So we have that human connection to the athletes, which I think is great.
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
had a lot of really great stories this show. Thank you all so much for tuning in to Women Speaking Sports RVA. You can follow us at Women Speaking Sports RVA on Instagram and Facebook. Ladies, so many wonderful stories brought out today and conversations. It's such an honor. We will see you guys next week on Women Speaking Sports.